Welcome to our exciting news segment where we dive into the world of 1990s nostalgia. Remember those days? The dial-up internet, the boy bands, the questionable fashion choices, good times. Today, we're uncovering 5 items from the 1990s that are now worth a fortune. We're talking about things that might be gathering dust in your attic or basement right now. Items you might have considered donating to the nearest thrift store. From cuddly companions to virtual pets and legendary gaming cartridges, these relics of the past have transformed into sought-after treasures. So, buckle up, because we're about to take a trip down memory lane and unearth some serious cash potential. First up, we have Beanie Babies. These weren't just toys, they were a phenomenon. These small plush animals filled with beans, shocking I know, took the world by storm in the 1990s. Remember the frenzy? People were elbowing each other in the aisles of Hallmark, desperately trying to get their hands on a Princess the Bear or a Spooky the Ghost. And it wasn't just kids? Oh no, adults were caught up in the craze too, convinced that these beanbag animals were a sound financial investment. Well, as with most crazes, the Beanie Baby bubble eventually burst, leaving many people with bags full of plush toys and deflated dreams of striking it rich. But hold on, because the story doesn't end there. Fast forward to today, and some of those once coveted Beanie Babies are indeed worth a small fortune. We're talking thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars for certain rare ones. Take, for instance, the Princess the Bear, created in memory of Princess Diana. Originally sold for around $5, a pristine Princess the Bear can now fetch thousands. And if you happen to have a first edition princess with a brown nose instead of the usual black, well, congratulations, you've hit the jackpot. So, what's the lesson here? If you have a box of these furry friends tucked away in the attic, it might be time to dust them off and see if you have any hidden treasures. You never know, that dusty old bear in the corner could be your ticket to a tropical vacation. Next, we journey into the world of Pokemon, a world where kids battle fantastical creatures with questionable powers. We're not here to debate the finer points of Pokemon battles. We're here to talk about money. Specifically, the money you could make from those old Pokemon cards gathering dust in your basement. Remember the thrill of ripping open a fresh pack of Pokemon cards, hoping to find that elusive Charizard? Well, that thrill could turn into a very real payday if you happen to have a first edition Charizard in good condition. We're talking serious money here, folks. A first edition, shadowless, holographic Charizard card sold at auction in 2022 for an eye-watering amount. And that's not even the most expensive Pokemon card out there. But it's not just Charizard that can rake in the dough. Other rare cards like Blastoise, Venusaur, and even some lesser-known Pokemon can command high prices in the world of collectors. So what makes these cards so valuable? Well, it's a combination of factors: nostalgia, rarity, and good old-fashioned supply and demand. These cards were a staple of many a 90s childhood. And now those nostalgic adults are willing to pay a pretty penny to relive their glory days. And let's not forget the rarity factor. First edition cards, especially those in mint condition, are like gold dust. So if you've got a box of old Pokemon cards stashed away, it might be time to dig them out and see if you're sitting on a gold mine. Just be careful not to let the excitement go to your head and challenge your neighbor to a Pokemon battle. The Nintendo 64, a console that brought us groundbreaking three-dimensional graphics, innovative gameplay, and enough nostalgia to power a small city. Remember spending countless hours glued to the screen, battling Bowser in Super Mario 64, or exploring Hyrule in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time? Good times! But what if I told you that those beloved N64 cartridges gathering dust in your basement could be worth a small fortune today? Yes, you heard that right. Those plastic rectangles that once transported you to magical worlds are now considered collector's items, and some of them are worth a pretty penny. Take, for instance, Super Mario 64. This groundbreaking game, with its innovative three-dimensional platforming and catchy soundtrack, is highly sought after by collectors. And if you happen to have a pristine first edition copy, you could be looking at a significant chunk of change. And let's not forget about The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. This critically acclaimed masterpiece is widely considered one of the greatest video games ever made. Its epic story, memorable characters, and innovative gameplay captured the imaginations of a generation, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for a piece of gaming history. But it's not just the big hitters that are worth money. Other N64 classics like GoldenEye 007, Star Fox 64, and Banjo-Kazooie are also highly sought after by collectors. Retro gaming has seen a resurgence in popularity in recent years, with many gamers rediscovering the joys of classic titles. This renewed interest, coupled with the limited supply of certain games, has driven up prices, making some N64 cartridges surprisingly valuable. So, the next time you're feeling nostalgic for the golden age of gaming, Dust off that old N64, blow into a few cartridges, and see if you have any hidden treasures on your hands. You never know, that dusty old game could be your ticket to a new console or a stack of new games. Remember Tamagotchis, those little egg-shaped devices that took the world by storm in the late 90s? They were the digital pets that everyone, from school children to office workers, seemed to be obsessed with. These pixelated creatures demanded constant attention, needing to be fed, played with, and cleaned up after, lest they meet an untimely demise. And let's be honest, those little beeps and boops could get pretty annoying after a while. But hey, they were our responsibility, our little digital companions in a world that was just beginning to embrace the digital age. But what happened to those Tamagotchis? Did they all succumb to digital neglect, their pixelated lives flashing before our eyes one last time? Well, some of them did, their digital souls lost to the ether, but others survived, tucked away in drawers, forgotten in attics, or maybe even still clinging to life in the hands of a dedicated owner. And guess what? Those surviving Tamagotchis, those relics of a bygone era of digital pets, are now worth some serious cash. That's right, those little plastic eggs that you might have considered tossing out could be your ticket to a small fortune. Original Tamagotchis, especially those in good condition and in their original packaging, are highly sought after by collectors. We're talking hundreds, even thousands of dollars for certain rare models. It seems that the nostalgia factor is strong with these digital companions, and people are willing to pay a premium to relive their Tamagotchi-raising days. So what makes these digital pets so valuable? Well, it's a combination of factors. Nostalgia, of course, plays a big part. Tamagotchis were a cultural phenomenon, a shared experience for an entire generation. They remind us of a simpler time, before smartphones and social media, when our biggest worry was making sure our digital pet didn't starve to death. So if you happen to have a Tamagotchi or 2 or 10 gathering dust in a drawer somewhere, it might be time to dig them out and see if you have a hidden treasure on your hands. Finally, let's talk about something near and dear to many people's hearts, or should I say feet, sneakers. Specifically, vintage sneakers from the 1990s, those iconic shoes that once graced basketball courts, school hallways, and MTV music videos. Remember the days when Air Jordans were the hottest commodity on the playground? When everyone wanted a pair of Reebok pumps? And when Adidas superstars were the epitome of cool? Those were the days, my friends. But those days are gone, right? Well, yes and no. While you might not see too many people rocking Reebok pumps with their business suits these days, the love for vintage sneakers is far from dead. In fact, it's more alive than ever. Vintage sneakers have become a global phenomenon, with collectors, fashion enthusiasts, and nostalgic 90s kids alike clamoring to get their hands on these iconic shoes. And guess what? That demand has sent prices skyrocketing, turning those dusty old sneakers in your closet into potential gold mines. We're talking about sneakers that could pay your rent, your mortgage, or maybe even your kids' college tuition. Limited edition releases, rare collaborations, and even certain colorways of popular models can fetch thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in the right market. Take, for instance, the Air Jordan 1, the shoe that started it all. A pristine pair of original Air Jordan 1s, especially in a rare colorway, can sell for an eye-watering amount. And let's not forget about the Nike Mag, the self-lacing sneakers made famous in the movie Back to the Future Part 2. Only a handful of these futuristic shoes were ever made, and they routinely sell for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. But it's not just Nike that's cashing in on the vintage sneaker craze. Adidas, Reebok, Puma, and other iconic brands from the 90s are also seeing their vintage models soar in value. Remember those Adidas superstars I mentioned earlier? Yeah, a pristine pair of those can fetch a pretty penny these days. So if you've got a box of old sneakers stashed away in the back of your closet, it might be time to dig them out and see if you're sitting on a gold mine. Just be careful not to wear them to the grocery store. You never know who might try to make you an offer you can't refuse. Thanks for joining us on this nostalgic journey through the 1990s. Who knew those dusty relics from our past could be worth so much today? It just goes to show that what's old can become new again, especially when it comes to collectibles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more exciting news updates. And be sure to check out our other videos, where we explore everything from the history of breakfast cereal to the surprisingly fascinating world of competitive air guitar. Stay tuned for more interesting stories and have a great day. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a date with a box of Beanie Babies and a dream of striking it rich.